Welcome back to the Movement is Medicine podcast. Dr. Gene Chirac here with Dr. Megan Weezer, Dr. Cory. I have a reattached distal bicep tendon. How?
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Look at that.
Robo arm.
Yeah, I asked for a robot arm. They said no,
Still back ordered,
Unfortunate.
like everything else.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been several weeks since the last episode. We had
Well, that was pre-surgery, wasn't it? We
a
haven't
lot,
done
a
one
lot of
since
things
post.
happened. Cory had surgery. You went on your trip.
Yeah.
I tried to burn this place down multiple times during that week. Apparently, it's a very resilient building. So a lot to catch up on. We also had our 6-year anniversary
We did.
in that time span. So a lot happened in
I ate 2 cheeseburgers and a hot dog.
You did. You
Mhm.
did.
Or not a hot dog. What were they?
Bratwurst.
Bratwurst?
Yeah.
Yeah, not as good as hot
Oh,
dogs.
I didn't know there were bratwurst here.
Mm-hmm.
They're better than hot dogs. Are you kidding
so
me?
much better than the hot dogs.
No way.
Yes.
They are
Comment
so
below.
much better.
Bratwurst
You
versus
have the
hot
Oh
dogs.
my
palate
God.
of a 6-year-old.
They don't have a bratwurst eating contest on ESPN every year. They
Bro.
have a hot
No,
dog eating
brats are
contest.
better. This is
So
the
much better.
one time I will agree with Gene.
Yeah, we agree. That tells you something. The reason they don't have a bratwurst eating contest is because hot dogs are cheap pieces of shit. And they can get a lot of them. That's why.
They have pie eating contests. That's not cheap.
Isn't it though?
Argument
You
is
can
invalid.
bake a lot of pies though, with cheap ingredients.
See,
It's all made from
Cheap.
the same stuff. They just add a little bit of pepper into the brats, and
nowhere
That's-
near
that's
the
all it
same
is.
thing. Bratwursts are so much better. But
it literally says the word worst in it. They are the bratwurst.
that's a German language thing. So we're not getting into that.
Shout out to Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
He's here,
Did you not here
not here,
Yeah.
like in the building, but he's on the East Coast.
in our time zone?
He's in Baltimore.
Mhm.
We're getting dinner tonight.
Where are you going for dinner?
Nick's Fish House.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the burgers?
Yes, burger's very good.
I love that griddle so much. It's one of my favorite things I've gotten probably ever.
That's sad.
Is it? Is it though? I don't ask for much, Megan. I don't ask for much. It's a Blackstone griddle, so it's the same griddle top that restaurants cook on, and I've wanted one for a very long time, and now that it's warm, like I cook on it all the time at home. It's nice.
Have you guys ever been to a hibachi place?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's what you should do.
Yeah,
I love
It's,
hibachi.
it's similar to that.
Just make a flaming onion. You know what?
Yeah,
you know what I'm
and
Yeah,
they-
make the little volcano.
Yeah, throw
yeah,
shrimp
the
in your
volcano
mouth.
onion. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shrimp on the barbie. I'll have you guys over at the house and I'll throw shrimp at you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. Few things I want to talk about on this episode to kind of catch up on. Number one, we'll get an update on you and your arm because the last podcast we talked about the surgery and worst case scenarios of how you would die, which you didn't, thankfully.
I did not.
Yeah.
I listened to that back. You're like, what's the worst that happens? And I was like, you literally die.
So I followed your advice and I did not eat anything after midnight.
Good.
Not.
No.
He listened. So how'd the surgery go? What's the outcome?
So bright.
Surgery was good. They actually said the whole process was very quick from injury to surgery. It was 10 days. And it was beneficial that it was only 10 days because apparently the tunnel that the tendon kind of goes through the muscles and into the radial tuberosity was still open. So they didn't have to like dig around in
Create
there
one.
and create a new tunnel.
Nice.
Mhm.
So they just had to find the tendon, pull it down, put it through the tunnel, and I watched a video of not my surgery, but of my surgeon doing the same surgery, and they take a drill and drill a hole through my bone, and then they take the tendon and attach it to an anchor, and then they hammer in the anchor into the bone, and it's like carpentry.
Yeah.
Yep, I've always
with the
called
human body.
surgery sterile carpentry.
Yeah, orthopedics at least.
At least orthopedics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Did you get a discount because your tunnel was there and they didn't have to dig for it? 5% off?
You know, I didn't ask, but I should have.
Should have.
Yep.
10% off.
Less work for them.
10% off. So surgery was a success. Now what?
Well, it's a long road. The surgeon and their group is very conservative with their recovery.
Super conservative.
Super
Mhm.
conservative. Like, and they admitted to it. So they told me that, well, I'm in the splint for 6 weeks, which that's pretty standard
Yeah.
for most
Mhm.
things, or for most surgeries like mine. But what's different is they don't want me to lift anything for 6 months, anything heavier than a cup of coffee
That
with
is
my left arm.
insane to me.
Yeah, which is
Also,
about a
very
pound.
arbitrary to me. Like, cup of coffee is
12
like,
ounces, 14 ounces.
well, what I was gonna say is,
I
like,
drink
you're
it straight from the
somebody
pot. So.
who, oh, okay, you are somebody whose tendons can withstand a lot more than the average person.
Thank you.
So a cup of coffee is probably equivalent to what, like a 20-pound dumbbell? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an everyday kind of
Sure.
not a weight that would not even be considered a strain on. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
but your baseline capacity within those tendons is much higher than the average person. Yet every person gets the same guideline of don't lift heavier than a coffee cup. Whereas like a coffee cup is literally a fraction of what you actually lift on a certain day. Whereas somebody else, a coffee cup is probably the most they lift on a certain day.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, the approach is not too dissimilar than most major hospital system.
I know. I'm just
surgeons, right?
saying it's,
They go,
and
hey,
there's, I don't know if
here's-
there's a better answer because like,
not for a shotgun approach to highest likelihood success ratio, right?
Yeah.
Because surgeons are graded on success.
Mm-hmm.
So they want the biggest success. And what that surgeon's essentially saying, like, we'll sacrifice 2 months in order to give you the rest of your life.
yeah.
So-
No, I know. It's just arbitrary. And I think there's a parallel to like pregnant women when they're like, okay, don't lift this.
For 6 weeks.
And it's like, I was fucking deadlifting 305. Like, what is 20 pounds going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many variables. Like you said, the tunnel was already there. You didn't tear the tendon. The tendon came off, right? So the tendon
Yeah.
doesn't have to heal.
Yep.
It's just the bone healing. But
Yep.
that, like, the surgeon doesn't know how your bone and tendon fuse together, or how
Right.
that callus builds up,
Yeah.
what the tension of it is. And again, we're really talking about either 4 months or 6 months, because you're not really going to be lifting, even at the earliest, you'd be lifting 3 months,
Yeah.
something like that.
There are the one of the issues is there's not a standardized protocol for this
Right.
type of surgery. It's not as common as say a knee replacement,
Yeah.
which has
Yeah.
like clinical practice guidelines
Right.
essentially for
Yeah.
like a standardized recovery.
Or even a proximal bicep tear. That's a lot more
Yeah.
common than a distal one.
Yeah. But going back to the success rate, I'm certain that's why it's a very conservative 6-month no lifting guidelines, because they said they've never had a failed surgery. They had one that was a traumatic, like the person had an accident, they
Mhm.
fell.
Mm.
But as far as like pure atraumatic failed surgeries, they haven't had one. So I'm sure that's why they're conservative with their recovery. But what's interesting is they don't recommend physical therapy for something like this, and it's interesting to have that thought because in our world we're biased for physical
Mhm.
therapy, but for a good reason. And I can't speak for the surgeon and their physicians, but I feel like in their eyes, the surgery is complete and the surgery will be healed in 6 months and you're good to go at that point.
Mhm.
But we know that we could be doing other things in this meantime, like shoulder range of motion stuff, soft tissue things I've been wearing a sling, 20 hours, not 20 hours a day, but most days,
Mhm.
most hours of the day. There's a lot of
Just general blood flow.
Yeah.
Like,
grip strength things that we could be doing that have nothing to do with the radius. There's a lot of things that we could be doing to help my body not only recover but maintain whatever bits of strength and function that I can have.
yeah.
There's a lot you can do with scapulothoracic joint
Mhm.
that most people don't think about, right? You just go above the elbow and then you have the entire still upper limb to develop and work.
Yeah, I've only recently started, like between yesterday and today, started having some like right trap discomfort from the sling, and my left shoulder is starting to feel like sensations of stiffness because I'm not moving it. So I'll be out there and you'll see me taking it and like moving it around because
Yeah.
it just feels it hasn't been up here very much in the
Mhm.
past 3 or 4 weeks. So,
And you got a lot of that in your future still.
yeah, another 5 months.
Yeah.
So,
But you'll still be moving it, right? Like you don't have to wear the sling. I think you're what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in?
I just mean it's gonna have to be more conscious. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
move-
the
yeah, yeah.
of moving the
Sure.
Oh, sure.
limb. It's
Yeah.
not gonna become like it can't be automatic
Yeah.
because he has that lifting restriction.
Yeah.
yeah, I can be discharged from the sling as long as it feels okay. So I'm weaning off of that. Actually, I coached I think 2 out of the 3 classes without the sling. I have to wear the splint for at least the 6 weeks, and then I can start to get out of that. But yeah, I'm starting to get out of the sling. It just starts to ache after a while of not in the sling, but it's getting better.
What's it been like to have, like, I think it's the first time in your adult life where you've been limited in not being able to do things because your body's not literally allowing you to do that. What's that been like?
Yeah.
Oh, good question.
The only other time was if I have back flare-ups.
Mhm.
That was more so in my early to mid 20s.
Sure. But you
But-
knew like
I think
that's a
those are
limiting
less
factor.
scary though because you know, like, oh, this is gonna be a week.
Yeah, it's
2.
gonna run its course.
Yeah.
Other than the first time,
Yeah.
the first couple times, I guess.
Yeah.
but
They still suck every time back.
It's
Yeah.
still annoying,
Yeah.
but it's it's transient. Like it's not this like year-long process that you're gonna have to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 months when they said, like they told me that it would be, 6 months of no lifting. They told me that before the surgery. And in my head, I was like, okay, 6 months. But then after the surgery, I was like, I counted. I was like, May, June, July. I was like, oh, shoot, that's the end of November.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
Context.
it sounds far away when you think of it like that.
Yeah. That's after Thanksgiving. I can't even hold my heavy Thanksgiving plate with 2 hands. That's what I was really worried about.
Who are you kidding? Come on now. Who are you kidding?
What?
When Thanksgiving comes around, you're loading that sucker up. Restrictions, no restrictions.
I'll put the sling
It's
back
gonna
on.
be
just to
heavier than a
support it.
cup of coffee. He's gonna have to hold it in his other
It'll be
hand.
6
True.
months at that point. It'll
Oh,
be
that's
fine.
true. You're
Yeah.
right.
It'll be the first thing you lift. 20-pound plate of food.
Well, 6 months would be November 28th, and I think Thanksgiving would be November like 25th
I
or
don't know.
26th.
I
so-
think you have to take into account like the months that are like 31 days.
Y-
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That might be
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
okay.
But Megan and I were talking briefly yesterday that it's kind of fun to figure out what you can do and how to modify. So I've gone back to 2 classes now with the community here at Recharge, and just trying to figure out what I can and can't do while keeping this safe. And it is fun. It's I think we talked about it last time. I'm doing things that I would not do otherwise.
Normally, yeah.
A lot of unilateral work, obviously. Suitcase deadlifts and right-sided
rack.
front rack goblet squats or front rack squats. I rode the bike for 6 kilometers yesterday because
He
it
did
was
a lot of bike yesterday.
yeah, because it was supposed to be run, row, bike, and I might be able to jog, but I want to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, I would
um,
wait on
with,
that.
the bouncing.
Yeah.
But so I did the bike the whole time, and my legs were on fire, but it was good.
And you did the bike with just like one arm.
Yeah, that sucked too. I mean, everything's with one arm, so my grip strength or my grip muscles, I guess, just it felt so full.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
blood.
Yeah,
So there were points where I had to take my hand off the bike because it was, I'm riding the bike this way and then doing single arm kettlebell swings and then bent over rows, and the whole thing you're gripping the whole time. So
mm-hmm.
just something to consider. But no, it's still pretty fun. We've talked before that I prefer group classes
Mhm.
over training by myself. So I'd prefer to come in and modify something and still be with the community.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just kind of break down every movement pattern, like, is this a press? Is this a pull? Is this a squat? Is this a hinge? And then just do whatever is in your repertoire right now.
Mhm.
Like, it's still,
Yeah. I think it's a cool message to send to the community as well, because that's what we tell them all the time, right? Like, you
Yeah.
just come in and we'll make it work regardless of what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
when you broke your everything, you kept coming in.
Yeah.
yeah.
my body didn't know that there was supposed to be running on the board yesterday. It just knows that I rode the bike for 6 kilometers. So
yeah, put the work in.
yeah,
And that ultimately helps healing along as well. It puts your
For
body in
sure.
that position in a better place. How about headspace wise?
This fucking fly, I swear to God.
Yeah, there's a fly in here that's.
It keeps
You-
buzzing around.
That's
you guys
one
have both
headspace.
seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember the fly episode?
Mhm.
No.
Oh. There was like very little dialogue in that episode, and it was mostly just Walter like trying to catch the fly in
I don't
the
remember that.
in the meth lab.
Yep.
Headspace. Mostly good. Mostly good. There was a time, so Gene and I went to a golf outing, charity golf outing for his birthday on Friday, and I golfed with one hand.
And
You
was
did?
And you
Yep.
did really well.
Yep, I
What?
did. I
You
surprised
would do
myself.
really well.
Yeah.
No, I didn't hit off the tee. That was kind of pointless after a couple times because it would only go 75 yards. But I chipped and putted. What?
Putted?
Putted?
Yeah.
What's
I don't know.
past tense of putting?
Putted?
And did pretty well. But anyway, there was a time during that.
Gene's thinking face.
I was curious.
I don't know what the past tense of.
He was like,
Putted?
you said it so confidently, and then you were like,
Am
I'm not sure.
am I right? Putted?
I think that was the first time where I got sad of, man, this sucks.
Mhm.
Because like we've talked that it sucks that I won't be able to golf this year, but being out there with people and experiencing that I can't golf. It was short lived because eventually I started having fun again. But so that was about the only time that I felt too sad. Otherwise, I'm doing pretty good headspace wise. I don't have a lot of pain, so it's
Yep.
easy to have a positive outlook when you're not constantly in pain.
I think it helps probably that you're going through the best situation of a worst case, right? Like the worst case was you tore your bicep, but everything
Well,
is
we said last time that worst case was I died.
yeah.
Yeah.
So everything's better than that.
Yeah.
But from your injury wise, I mean, it was the worst case that it was torn completely, not a partial tear or a strain or
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
But the recovery so far is pretty much ideal, right? The minimal pain, the successful surgery.
Mhm.
You have a place that you can actually recover through that as part of your day to day.
And I think you have a fairly like low barrier of entry to like maintaining a positive outlook going through this. Like you come here every single day. Like you have to be here every single day because you
Yeah.
work here, but it's also the place you work out. And there's group classes. You live 90 seconds away from your like there's not a whole lot of things in your way to keep doing the things that you enjoy and that like, add positivity to your life.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Still sucks. Like,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not diminishing that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like
he's in a good place for
Yeah.
it to suck.
it might take a little willpower, but like
Yeah.
it's not like you know.
He did hit like a 120-yard hybrid with
That
the
was
right
cool.
hand.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
That
he
means
was-
nothing to me.
yeah, it doesn't. He hit a very good shot with a club, and it went further than I don't even know if he could have done that with two hands at this point.
Hmm.
No, it was good. He had some good shots. He had some good chips that we used. So it was a scramble, meaning that all four players hit, and then you pick the best ball on the next shot.
Okay.
So of the four players, you go, okay, we'll go with this ball, and we picked his a few
Couple
times with the
times.
chips.
I made a couple putts.
Made a couple putts.
I would putt first to give them a read of like where to go, and I made a couple of them, so
Yeah,
that was good.
yeah.
Use those, and
Yeah,
then
it was fun.
Fun.
It was
Like
a
I had to-
beautiful day. It was nice to be out there.
I got sunburnt.
I was I used the sunscreen a lot because Landry gave me a sunscreen, so I reapplied multiple times. So it wasn't too bad. Remember I said like when you're in the sun a lot, like it just drains you
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
later in the day. I was the opposite. I don't know if it's because I haven't had a lot of vitamin D because the weather's been shitty. I was bouncing off the walls
Wow.
later that day. I was not tired at all. I felt great.
It was a good day.
How long are you guys out there?
Too long. Too long.
Too long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Almost 6 hours.
we got done. Well, we were supposed to tee off at 8:30, but there was some speeches and stuff.
Yeah.
So probably didn't tee off until 9, and then we were done at 2:30,
Two-ish.
Oh wow.
maybe.
Yeah.
This is long.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah. But it was a charity golf tournament, so we had to wait for other groups
Yeah.
to hit in front of us, and yeah, wheels came off a little bit by hole 16 when the beers hit for some people, and
But it was fun.
Wait, who were you with?
Us two, Corey, Freeman, and Landry.
Oh man, that was probably so fun.
Oh, we were laughing a lot.
Yeah,
There was a lot of laughing.
It was a good time. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah.
Corbett Freeman.
Yes. It was a lot of fun with Corbett and Landry.
I literally found out this morning that his name is Corbett.
I think there's an R, isn't it? Corbett? Or no?
No.
No? Okay.
What?
It's Corbett.
Corbett.
Yeah.
I'm still mind blown.
Mhm.
I thought his name was Cory.
Yeah.
That was his
it
full name.
is.
Is your name Corbett?
Oh my God. If you said yes, our entire world would have flipped. Can't trust anybody.
I already have trust issues.
I can't believe he just told the entire world that his name's Corbett. Maybe he was keeping a secret.
Hold on, is your name not Corbett?
My name's Corky.
Corky how?
Corky. Yep.
Corky.
And when I was a kid, I had trouble with the K's, so I just wrote Cory.
Knowing your dad, I could totally see him calling you Corky.
Yeah. I told you my dad would tell people my name was Homer
Yeah.
when I was still inside my mom.
What an awkward way to phrase that.
People would ask, "Oh, what are you gonna name him?"
I'm not past that. I'm still not past that. I'm still...
Before I was born, perhaps?
Yeah, before I was born.
While my mom was still pregnant with me.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, people would ask, "What are you gonna name the kid?" And my dad would say Homer, but with a dead straight face.
Homer
and
Corkett how?
Corkett.
HCH.
HCH.
I like it. Corkett. All right. Well, you're recovering well. That's good.
Yeah. So, long story short about the physical therapy stuff, we'll do our own things within respecting their wishes for not lifting.
Yeah, well, right now I don't think you talked about this. You're passive range of motion only, right?
Yes. Right now I have passive range of motion, so I am allowed to take the splint off every now and then and do some passive range of motion stuff. So I take my right hand, grab my left arm, and can put it through elbow flexion. I have full elbow flexion with my wrist neutral, so I can achieve full elbow flexion. Wrist supinated, I'm not quite full yet, and it has a little bit of pain into my radius bone. So I'm working on that. Pronation is pretty full too, and I'm not allowed to push into elbow extension yet, but I can get to about like here before it starts to pull a little bit.
Do you have another follow-up?
I do. The first week of June, right before our cruise.
What is that like post-op wise though? Like how many weeks?
6.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Because it'll be June 9th will be the 6-week mark, so it's just about that. June 7th is my follow-up.
Hopefully some active or active assistive at this point.
Yeah.
At that point.
You have to consider that the first 4 to 6 weeks is just like dealing with like an avulsion fracture.
Yeah.
We're literally, the bone that they drilled in is trying to heal.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what this is. It's essentially, stopping or minimizing movement at the bone. So that
you have a broken bone that needs to callus over.
Yeah. But we know those usually heal in 6 to 8 weeks, and that's why they have 6 weeks of this. And then after that, it's allowing the tendon to like fully heal into that spot.
Yep, reintegrate with the bone. That's great. Glad that you're, again, best case of a worst situation. Are we allowed to say fridge yet, or is that still a traumatic thing?
Well, you can say it. I've just refused to touch them. We have another broken fridge out there, but
I don't know what is going on with our fridges.
I'm not allowed to.
Did you have anybody look at
move
it?
it.
No.
Well, what the?
Who do I don't even know? Like, do they still have fridge repair people?
It might just
I
take
don't
some like
know.
Freon or something. Isn't that what it's called? Freon?
Corbett had mentioned to look at the coils.
I looked at the coils and they look like coils. So I
So
I
maybe
dusted them
you
a
get
little bit.
somebody else who knows a little bit more about this to look at it, like Corbett.
I mean,
I'm never
Does
calling him
anybody-
Cory again. Just
does
so
anybody
everyone
know
knows.
anything about fridges
I
anymore?
don't,
Exactly.
and you don't.
No, I do not. No, I do not.
I know that they don't fit on dollies very well.
Too soon. Too soon. I like how
Well,
the community.
they fit on the dolly.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I know.
you gotta strap the door to it. Evidently.
Yeah.
You gave us what you did with putting. You gave me a line on how to
Yeah,
move it.
right.
and then I moved it.
Yep.
I do like how the community is completely flipped now of just joking about it now that it's okay. Like
Yeah.
everyone is just talking about the fridge. and-
Really? I haven't
yeah.
heard that.
They were all very concerned, and they still are. We have a very loving community, but they're also fun.
Yes, they do rub it in, usually to me, but it was nice to see that it happened in your direction as well. Switching gears a little bit, speaking of the community, we had our 6-year anniversary on May 7th. So we had a cookout in the backyard and it was a lot of fun. A lot of people showed up. I mean, it was great. It's always, I feel
The
like
workout was a lot of fun too, if I
the
do say so
cookouts-
myself.
nobody cares.
Good job.
They all cared. They all liked it.
Good job, Megan.
Everybody was like, why is Gene not here for the 6th anniversary workout?
Had a baseball game to coach.
I was like, I'm here. Are you upset?
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Yeah, like they care that I'm not there. They were like, "Why are you here if I came?" Like, there's no winning for me. So either way, I get shit from them. So which is fine.
That is fair.
That's my role.
That's my role.
But I love cookouts and obviously like our monthly events that we haven't had a ton of like usual for variety of
It
reasons.
definitely hasn't been monthly.
Mhm.
But it's a lot of fun because one, members like from different class times get to mingle together, which they don't often do. But that shifts like my focus completely. It'll be completely your fault.
Sorry.
Members, I feel like when you get that big group of people, like at most they see 10 of themselves or 20 in a community class. But
With that, yeah.
like having that kind of social aspect to it, it's such a different energy, and people like get reinvigorated a little bit about what community means, which is a lot of fun. But what I want to touch on to finish out is Colleen asked a really, really great question that I had to kind of think about. And she asked, over the 6 years, how has the mission of Recharge changed? Like, what has changed over 6 years? And I was about to give her like just a standard answer, but then I was like, that is a good question about what has changed. And a lot has changed. I mean, things always change, right? We started with me and Ryan, then Ryan phased out. So he's not here anymore, by the way. He's gonna have a baby soon. So shout out. But like I tried to think what has changed with what we were trying to accomplish, and that hasn't changed. And I thought that was the coolest thing, is from day one to now, what we were trying to accomplish has not changed. How
The
we go about it
processes have,
slightly
yeah.
changed, and we've improved and we've adjusted and we've adapted through being a new business and then COVID and then kind of being a new business again because of COVID in a lot of ways. But what we're after is still the same thing, is making a positive impact in our community and using fitness as a means of medicine. It's just, I feel like the one thing that has changed is our ability to convey that in a more succinct, structured way. And I feel like that's, if you look at it that way, over 6 years, things have only improved. Like, we're much better at saying, here's what we do and how we can help you, versus before it was like, here are all the things possible in some ways for us to approach it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
My brain went to
Oh, God. Where did your brain
Brace
go,
yourself.
Jersey?
my brain went to you and I fight a lot more.
That's
I
also
think
comes
that
with
just means
maturation.
you stand up for yourself more.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Cory.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That is true. That's true. I figure that's just more of a Jersey thing. Normal
I've
process.
evolved.
Yeah.
Suppressing her inner Jersey before.
More natural now. It comes out. No need to hide it. But our fighting isn't like, she doesn't beat me usually. That's not what she means. There's been times.
I have
Remember that one time when you threw that thing?
I didn't throw anything ever.
I think you were the one that shot her in the head with my Nerf gun.
That happened. That 100% happened.
That was a great shot. That was a great shot. That never happened. Never happened. Theoretically, it would have been a great
Yeah,
shot.
allegedly.
We need an HR department.
No, but our fighting is usually for the betterment of the community, right? It's not like
Yes.
we're just arbitrarily arguing
or the
about things.
processes or the systems that we have in
Right.
place,
Or me washing dishes.
or me trying to
Yeah.
have the systems in place.
Yeah, but it's like a workout. Like members think I'm pretty sure they think I'm kidding when I say, like, when we create our workouts, we literally have like a review process, and we go back and forth and we question each other, and we passionately discourse
And
about it.
I sit in between them and say, you guys
Yeah.
both make valid points.
Yes, he tries to compromise all the time, but we take that very seriously. I think that, I mean, that does speak to that process of betterment, right? Of delivering a final product. Just like I hope with a physician, that if they're prescribing medicine, they wouldn't just go like, "Oh, here's the latest pharmaceutical rep that came by. Let me just give you this medicine. Whatever works."
Yeah, I don't think our product has changed over the 6 years. I think it's become more specific, and we've figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we ever figure it out, right? Like, I don't know. I think that's always going to adapt and change, but how to package it and different ways to package it and how to present it to the person in front of you based on where they're at, I think has improved.
I think that's absolutely right. I think that might be the biggest thing. Is before it used to be, here's what we do, and here's you getting into that, right? And you
Yes.
kind of figuring out as you
Now
go.
it's here's what we do. This is how you fit into it.
Yeah, and here's how we can adapt this around you
Yeah.
to an extent. Or this will not work, and
Mhm.
figure out
Here's
a better way.
another option,
Exactly.
or go find something else because we're not the right fit. Kind of thing.
Which doesn't happen that often, because I think at this point people, like, before they get here, they know kind of what they're getting into. I think you're right in that, like, before, when it started, it was mostly Ryan and him being creative and figuring it out, and literally constantly shuffling things
Mhm.
until a couple of years in. Then we first had our first phase 1 structure put into place. But now we're fairly fine tuned, and I mean, programming cycles, not every cycle is amazing, right? Some cycles are really good, but I think if you look at big picture wise, I think it's better than anything else than most people can get from a structured training program in precision. But I think the hardest thing is not the workouts, but accounting for the human element of people will always people. And how do we get in front of work and stress and kids and all the reasons that can derail our members from not just not working out, but for going into the narrative of, I don't have time, or work is this or that. Because that's the hardest thing. If everyone has time, like, I don't care how busy you are, whether whether it's coming to class or messaging one of us and say, hey, I need 10 minutes, give me something to do for 10 minutes. Everybody has time to get some activity or movement in their life. And I feel like that's something we've gotten better in, but that's something I feel like that's something to continue to improve in as well. Getting in front of those people. What about you? I mean, you started here as a student, so you kind of saw a lot of different stages.
Yeah, I came on after Megan. So Megan had been around for about 6-ish months.
It'll be 5 years in July of this year
And we
for me.
came on in January. So yeah, about 6 months.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. You both said good things.
This is how programming
This
meetings
is literally
go.
how it goes. You both made valid points. Thank you for asking me.
And that's it.
And that's it.
No, I feel, and I don't know if this is how you guys feel, but as a student, I felt it was a little bit more. Well, at that time, we were affiliated with CrossFit.
Mhm.
The goal was to always phase
That's
out of
right.
that anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were still Hoko CrossFit.
Yep.
So as a student, I still felt like this was a CrossFit gym that also did physical therapy stuff. And I feel like over the years, we've grown to fine tune that a little bit and like mesh them somehow, so that people feel like they can come here and get a high intensity workout, or they can come here and do what I'm doing for my classes personally, and getting like a rehab workout in as well. So it's kind of like blurring the lines between the two, and I think we've gotten better at that from what I've seen as a student to now. But as a student, we were more highlighting the one-on-one sessions
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
for out-of-network physical therapy,
Yep.
and we've definitely
Yeah, that's definitely been a shift. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Mhm.
a lot more emphasis on the one-on-one sessions within the community for our
I don't think I'd
members.
have time to do out of network one-on-one sessions now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that was the goal. So when we first opened, we affiliated with CrossFit because I knew nobody would know what recharge
Mhm.
is. At that time, I think around the nation, there may be 2 or 3 other physical therapists like running gyms. One of the bigger ones, Mike Reinold in Boston with Champion
Mm.
PT, but they mostly work with
That's a
baseball
gym?
players. I mean, it's a training facility,
Mm.
but they mostly work with baseball players. And they have an
And it's not
amazing.
classes though. It's like one-on-one, isn't
Correct.
it?
Yeah. And Lenny, Mike, they have an awesome setup there, and they do great work. But there's nothing like this that existed. So I knew we had to have CrossFit because we wanted that kind of methodology. But um, the plan was 2 years. I was like, we have 2 years to use CrossFit so people know that it is a
Mhm.
gym first and foremost, and that physical therapy. But it was both. It was CrossFit and recharge. So it was
Yep.
Hoko CrossFit and recharge, always together, never separate. And then the goal was to phase it out in 2 years, which we started, and that was like right before COVID started to come around. But the hardest part about that is people would always call or come in and be like they would need physical therapy, and they'd be like, "So are you a gym?" And we're like, "No, we're both." And then the people that wanted a gym, they'd come in and be like, "So you're physical therapy?" Like
Right.
they would never come in wanting the one thing that they wanted. They would always be confused by the other thing that they didn't need, which is very hard from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah,
So
people are like, so where do you do the physical therapy? And I'd point to the barbells.
yeah,
I'd be like, here. Yeah, that. I would do that. Here.
yeah,
Where are the massage tables? There's one folded up right there.
yeah, the floor.
Yeah.
We call that a plinth, not a massage table.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. You will not be getting massages. So the first like 10 members that we got, like some of the earlier ones, like Andrea, and they were coming in with some aches and pains, and they already had CrossFit experience. So they didn't have to buy into CrossFit. They had to buy into, well, you're clinicians, so let's see how it goes doing that. So there was no structure at that time. It was just literally Ryan walking over, his car dying, and living 2 minutes away, and just opening up. There's zero
And
structure.
figuring it out. Like, I don't know, with anything, you need to figure out what systems work, what systems don't, and what's sustainable.
Yeah, it wasn't even systems at that point. Like their systems don't come into play until maybe like a year into business. It was one, how do we approach people, and two, like it's kind of like a honeymoon phase of a marriage. Like you have a year, and anything that goes wrong, it doesn't matter. Like you're just excited to be there. You have your world that you're living in. Like it's a playground, right? And it is, and you just kind of have fun. And then after that first year, like, oh, okay, now there's bills, and then there's real life, and then we have like 20 people and
Children.
children.
Yep.
We have these 20 children, our members.
Yeah.
Not that hasn't changed. And not only do we have to grow the business, but we have to care for these 20 children. And it's like if you have 5 children, it's not that bad. Like you can manage. But then it's like you're at that threshold. You're like, oh crap, I have to create the workouts. I have to take care of the children. I have to take care of the house and mortgage. And I have to take care of all these things. And that's when systems come into place. You're like, well, I can't just constantly adjust. I have to create some structure. And that's like, again, with parenting, that's your routines and your habits, and that's when we started to come with figure out the cycles. And
Well, I think the other difference too is you're a lot more involved in the day-to-day stuff than you were initially.
yeah, I was not involved at all. My thing was content marketing, just figuring out that aspect of it, of the messaging piece of it. And it was I mean, it was Ryan's playground. And I mean, looking back, the dude was working, and we had 5 a.m. classes, right? So he's like working
Oh my
5
God.
a.m.
We had 5 a.m. classes when I started too. That was
Yeah.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I lived in Beltsville as a student. We had an Airbnb in Beltsville.
I lived in Catonsville when I first started.
Yeah. So
20 minutes.
those 5 a.m.
Yeah.
classes, you're getting up at 4 a.m. or earlier.
Or earlier.
I think it was 3:30 when I was there because I like to take my time
Yeah.
and like drink a cup of coffee at home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I
yeah,
rushed
was
out the
getting
door.
up early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every last minute of sleep.
Yeah. But I mean, he I know it wasn't easy, but he was a morning person, so I think mornings weren't terrible for him. But still, like he was working 5 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m.
Yeah,
for 3 years.
for our members now, it's the morning classes and the evening classes that he was coaching.
Yeah.
Earlier ones too.
Yeah,
So.
Mhm.
yeah, it was.
I did that a few times too when I first started.
And I think I'm pretty sure we had more classes at that time. We had 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So we
Really?
had 4. Yep, we had 4 evening classes that we eventually condensed once we added like the COVID gap in the
Mm.
classes. And there was no sign ups. It was just whoever shows up, shows up.
Yes, I remember that.
I did like that a little bit.
It was fun. It was fun to see
yeah.
who shows up.
Yeah.
The community workouts or Saturday classes when there was literally 30 plus people in the space, it hits differently than 10 people. It's a fun kind of chaos that is definitely not sustainable.
What I do miss about the classes of like 3, 4, 5, 6, not necessarily the number of them, but the crossover between classes.
Mhm.
The 3 o'clock people
Yeah.
always got to see the 4 o'clock people, and they'd be like, "Hey, how's it going? So
Yep,
and
the
so."
mingling.
Yeah.
Then right now we have a 15-minute interval that was implemented when we were cleaning everything during COVID.
Yeah.
I
and-
like that though.
You
I got
gotta
time
have
to
it.
pee.
You gotta
I got
have it.
time
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
eat a snack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it is nice for sure, but
check my email quick.
it's also cool to like people get there early and watch the previous class finish the workout and cheer them on. It was a little different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was fun. I think something like that could still work. Maybe if we have a bigger space. I think like even with 10 people in class,
Mhm.
it gets a little tough.
For sure.
Well, it's hard because like if we do have full classes, like now that's in that scenario, having them be back to back, like there's nowhere for people to like wait
Yeah.
except for outside.
Right. That's what I mean.
Like we
Yeah.
have overflow, like we're using our entire space. There's
Mhm.
no spot for anybody to just like chill really quick.
Yeah. There's zero room, which is good. But I
You
think
can send them upstairs to bother Jim.
we could. He's got plenty of space. Yeah. Initially when it started, it was it was Ryan accounting for his flow and his day to day, right?
Yep.
It wasn't creating a structure. Then you came around, and that's one of the first kind of pieces of structure.
There was no structure when I was here either.
No, that was literally the first pieces of like, oh, we have somebody else here. It's not just Ryan.
And it was
doing his
going
thing.
for me, it was weird going from like, working at a typical PT place to here. I remember the first day I was like, I don't have food yet. Can I go to the grocery store? And Ryan was like, yeah, do whatever you want. And I was like, do whatever I want. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I had no.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different.
It was
working
so different because what I experienced was like having a really set schedule, patient after patient after patient. Like, this is your time for lunch. This is the.
here. Oh, you got a lunchtime when you worked in the clinic?
Yes, I did. I did. You didn't get lunch?
No, if I wanted a lunch, I had to stay later.
Jeez.
I think that's illegal.
It is illegal.
Well,
There's a certain number of hours, I think, with like the
Before
labor
it's-
force
you
or something.
have to pay overtime.
sure.
Well, I think if you're working like a certain amount of time, you're required at least a 15-minute
Yeah,
break or
15,
something
30.
like that.
Something like that.
Well, I did not do that.
Yes, I got a lunch.
But along those same lines, when I was a student, in your clinical rotations, you're not just working. Sometimes there's papers you have to write or whatever. So there'd be times when Carrie and I would be super tired, and you guys were like, "Go take a nap."
Yeah.
There's some beanbag chairs over there. Just turn off the lights.
And
take
you're
a
like,
nap.
what?
You're like, this is at work.
Yeah. I tell you
Um,
guys, take a nap all the time, especially
yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
I don't have time to take a nap anymore. That's the other thing. My schedule is actually a schedule now.
We're grown
Like we have real jobs now.
We're grown up now.
Like it's not like I don't really have. I mean, I have flexibility in my schedule, but like there's usually things scheduled, whether it's patients' classes or meetings or like, hey, you got to get this done before the end of the week, and then all of a sudden it's Friday. Like I'm not doing it all on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
block time off.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think that's a good way to say it is flexibility, right? Like you have pretty much full control around how things go. Like aside from our standard times, the
Yep.
coaching times, meeting times, things like that. but then it's ebbs and flows. Like my management or ownership philosophies always prove to me that you'll fail without structure. In other words, like
What?
I defer to I defer
I
to
can do that. I can prove to you I can fail if you'd like.
well, no, then if you prove that, then it's more structure versus starting the other way around. Like versus saying,
Oh.
here is the structure,
Mhm.
follow this. I prefer the other way around, saying here's
This is what needs to get done in this time frame.
correct. Like it's like an electric fence. Like I'll give you a border, a huge border. If you cross it, I'll zap you.
Will you though? I feel like I'm the zapper.
Well, now, yeah,
You've just
But-
grown into that role.
yeah, exactly. I don't
'Cause I
like
never crossed
micromanagement.
the border. That's why.
Yeah, I don't like micromanagement. I don't like telling people how to do their jobs. Right. I
That's fair.
for me that's why I have a lot of
The work gets done.
leeway.
It gets done.
Yeah, a lot of leeway in mistakes and failures and things like that because that's kind of part of the process. When the mistake and failure becomes repetitive and consistent, then it's not a mistake or failure, then it's a consistent bad habit,
Interesting.
right? Yeah. What are you trying to say?
Oh, don't do that. Oh, no, it's so loud.
That's not the zapper.
I can't close both ears. I was very worried. Look, let me show the camera. That other hand can't get there. Very concerned.
Oh my god.
New workers' comp case, blown eardrum.
Blow your drum. I guess it did happen at work.
Yeah.
So I think it's been good. I thought that was a good question from Colleen during that time. It's hard to explain when your job is to take care of people. Like I think most people don't grasp the gravity, and we used to call it meaningful work. I don't know if you remember. We used to have
I
meetings
don't
with
remember
you
that.
because you get so exhausted and it's so stressful, but you're like, I don't understand. I'm just like coaching classes and I'm talking to people and like we're working. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of work, but
It's
then you're
brain
just
heavy.
exhausted.
It's social heavy. It's emotional heavy. It's sometimes physical heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people come to us sometimes in the worst of their life, right? Or whatever feels like in that moment. And oftentimes we're the ones they unload that on, right? So when somebody's in pain or is suffering or is going through divorce or is going through life stuff, they might keep it outside away from everyone, but we're oftentimes for those people one of the few safe havens that they can express that in because psychosocial address influences how the body responds to pain. So it's all relevant. But then we become the people that absorb that for 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, more than 100 times at this point with our members. And that's tough. That's exhausting.
Another thing with our work is it's never done.
Yeah.
The surgeon, his job is done after the surgery or after it heals.
Yep.
Even in a traditional outpatient physical therapy setting, you can say it's never done, but their job is done when they're discharged.
Right. Yeah.
Our job, we're not discharging our people. We're trying to create a lifetime
Fitness is for life.
Fitness for life, a lifetime of function, and we don't master things here and become done with it. We just continue to work on things, and so you don't get that finality of it.
Yeah. That's literally, I don't know if I ever told you guys this. That was literally the first time I conceptualized this space was when I was practicing in the clinic and I had a patient that was being discharged and we were having the conversation. And she said to me, what if I don't want to be discharged?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and then like similar to Colleen, I was like, for some reason that just like stopped me. I was like, what do you mean? Like you're done with your course of care? And she's like, what if I don't want to be discharged? Like I like where my body's going. I like how I'm progressing. What if I want to keep going? And I
Yeah.
was like,
I ran into that a lot at
your
my
insurance won't cover
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I ran
I
into
have
that a
to?
lot at my previous job, and they were because we were also attached to like a gym. So my outpatient clinic was like you had to walk through a gym to get there,
Mhm.
and I would often take people out into the actual gym, and like when they were getting close to the end of their course of care, or my side of it, And then, like, you know, once they got to know me, they were like, can you write me a program? And I'm like, I mean, yes, but
Like literally, you're like, I don't know what
no.
to say. Like,
Yeah,
like
I'm
every
like,
fiber of
I
your being wants
mean,
to say yes.
like,
of
I would
course
just send
can.
them an email of a few things to
Yeah.
like try, but it like, and that's when my brain was kind of like, this, like, there's some continuation here. And
Mhm.
like, they didn't want to pay for a personal trainer. They already like had a relationship with me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean,
it was
it's
just
such a
weird.
hard thing to tell somebody that's like telling you, I want to get better and feel better and continue that, and you're like, insurance won't pay for it, so bye,
Well, not
Felicia.
even that, but like once I lose them as a client, or not a client, a patient, if I'm still working with them, like the work never ends. But then it's not like that person is still on my schedule. Like I'm getting new patients all the freaking time throughout the year. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to be working 24 hours a day if I like maintain this. So then,
Then you break down and go crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys ever? I know you like Friends more than Seinfeld. Do you ever watch Seinfeld with that episode with Newman with the letters because he was a mailman, and there was this awesome episode where he has this psychotic breakdown, and he's like, in all the letters are in his apartment because he's like, it never ends. The letters.
That kind of sounds familiar, actually.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that, right? The
Yeah.
mail person is like always. The letters are always coming. It's kind of the same thing with humans. That there's always something.
Except with less human interaction with the mailman.
Hopefully, unless
Mail
they go
person.
crazy and then the mail starts to talk to them.
What?
Oh yeah, should read some stories about male people that go crazy.
What?
Yeah, because it never ends. There's
have you
no
heard
there's no beginning and end. Like people need a start and finish for their brains to function.
Is the finish is not delivering the mail?
No, because it's like, imagine your mailbox, right? Some people need mailbox 0. Like they clear their email and then they feel good. They accomplish that, even though more email is going to come. But like for when you're dealing with the post, it's never mail 0. There's always constant flow of mail. So you never have that feeling of complete accomplishment because there's always more and more and more.
Why does that translate to people having letters talk to them?
Because they have a mental breakdown and the mail starts to speak to them.
Have you heard about the phrase "going postal"?
Is that what that means?
Yep.
I don't think it means them talking to the mail,
snap.
but
yeah, they snap.
Usually some type of
All right.
incident.
So it's hard. It's hard to have this never-ending, continuous peace. But I mean, we get our victories. Like we see cool things with people.
Yeah,
that they
we do.
accomplish. So
Mhm.
that's cool. And I think again, accounting for the human element, knowing that people have reasons that they think they can't or they think they have to stop, and then it's for us to say, challenge them sometimes and say, what if you do? What is the outcome of that? What if you just devote your life to work and you just work all the time? The inevitability is that something will break down and then you'll have to play catch up anyway. Versus the best time to figure stuff out and create a routine for yourself is when you're the busiest, not when things slow down. Right?
Yeah.
That's what people always say. When things slow down for me, then I'll make time. Like that's setting yourself up for failure because you got to make it work when things are not slow, when they're as busy as it gets. So that's a lot. I think this is over an hour that we've already
Not
chatted.
quite.
We're pretty close.
Close.
So it's great
We
to hit
started on
6
time
years.
Well, like 6 minutes late.
It's better than 40.
That's true.
Ish. Next episode, let's talk about weight loss.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the nutrition pro. What do you mean? Why am I looking at you?
I'm just glad he's not looking at me.
Okay.
Got a lot to talk about that. I feel like we get questions about that all the time. Or body composition, but we'll focus on weight loss. So let us know what you think. If you enjoyed that, subscribe on YouTube, or if you're eventually listening to this on audio, then I know I need to get these out on audio.
Eventually. It's going to be a year from now.
Just because he said that, just to prove you wrong, it's going to be 8 months.
I'm going to get an email in a year. Hey, I heard you tore your bicep tendon.
Next year. Next May.
Yeah.
Wait, you tore your bicep? No. That was last May. Oh,
I just listened to the podcast episode. Yeah, Gene took a while.
They're on YouTube. Like, it's not like they're not available. They just go on YouTube. So if you're enjoying these on YouTube, leave us a
Yep.
a
Let us
like and
know,
subscribe.
Hot dog or bratwurst.
Oh, hot dog or bratwurst.
Bratwurst.
Yeah. Definitely
hot dog
bratwurst.
for sure. I think you guys just haven't had a good hot dog. Your hot
We've
dogs
had
I
good
are
think
hot dogs when
you
we went
have
to
the
the golf.
palate of
Those
a
are good. Those are
6-year-old.
Good.
Those hot dogs were
Yeah,
good.
those hot
What
dogs
hot
were
dogs?
at the golf course.
Oh.
Kogel hot dogs from Flint, Michigan. That's
I'm not eating anything from Flint, Michigan, and having radiation poisoning.
Nope. I every time we go to Michigan, I forget to bring back some. So
Good. Keep forgetting.
Poison or
Yeah.
the
no,
hot dog?
some hot dogs.
Keep forgetting.
So
Good
many
job.
people retire to Florida from Michigan that it's a local meat place. What do you call those?
Meat locker?
What place makes meats? Butcher?
Meat house?
I don't know. Meat
I don't
house?
know what you're
Butcher
trying to
shop?
say.
Yeah. Butcher shop?
They bring a truck down to Florida and sell the Kogel hot dogs. They just go around the retirement communities and sell them because so many people retire from Michigan. So anyway, best hot dogs in the world. I'll bring them one of these days.
No, please
Okay.
don't.
What if I make them for you? Cook them. Grill them.
I'll probably eat it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you again on the next episode of Movement is Medicine podcast from Recharge.